It's Mitch from Hard Intentions YouTube channel. We also have hardintentions.com where we sell T-shirts and the like. Check us out. I just saw a thing the other day about shot callers or something, and then I saw some guy saying, shot callers get the keys to be shot callers from guys that were in the shoe, and they were front men, and so on and so forth. I thought it was kind of funny because back in the day, when I went to prison, there was really no shot callers. That's kind of a relatively new thing. Last, I don't know, since the early 90s, mid 90s, I guess. But, the first time I really heard shot caller was in 93, and I went to Donovan, and there was a problem between a guy from Los Angeles and a guy from San Diego, and I talked to somebody who ended up becoming my friend. He goes, I'm pretty much a shot caller for Los Angeles car, meaning the white dudes. I said, okay, cool. And the two guys that had a problem, we resolved it. Basically, guys are throwing their counties, like I'm from Dago, I'm from LA, and we're like, hey, there's no need for that shit. You guys got a problem, you go fucking handle it. Doesn't matter where you're from. But I went to Corcoran from there, and there was a guy there, Jack Leo. He was from Pennsylvania. He got busted in San Fernando Valley. And I let him know, hey, nobody calls shots on me. I know how to fucking live. I was 96, so I already had like 15 years in or so. And he was a fucking joke. He was a dope fiend, looking for free shots of dope and free ride. And I heard later on he checked in. We had some confrontation with him over my homeboys. My homeboy Selly left owing some money to another race, and he's like, hey, you got to pay that debt. So me and my homeboys told him, look, you're worried about them guys getting paid, then you pay it. You ever tell somebody from San Diego what to do again, we'll stab you. Bottom line, you don't run this fucking yard, and you don't run our car. And my Selly, who was actually from San Fernando Valley, told him, and you don't run the San Fernando car. And that was funny. And then, I went over to Lancaster, and there was really nobody saying they had the yard. It was kind of free for all. But I always ran around with my homeboys, and then whoever was friends of mine, so there'd be a crew of guys. And, there's always some guy from about that point on, everywhere I went, it seemed like there's some guy acting like he's running the yard. I don't know how things are now since I left, but, because since then they've let almost everyone out of the shoe, and things are different. Prison's just way different, but I'm just talking about when I was in there. If you weren't in the mix, you were expected to be there if it was all the whites. But, if you weren't in the mix with the dope and the illegal activities, you could pretty much do your own thing. Shot caller guys always look for the weakest guy that could tell what to do, or the guy who is, dying to raise his hand to put in some work. The guy with the biggest mouth about the biggest opinion about, how people should be treated was always the one who got called on to put in some work. So if you want to do your time and you want to stay out of trouble as much as possible, just remember that. Keep your opinions to yourself, even from your cellie, because you don't know who your cellie's allegiance is to. He could be homies with a shot caller in the yard and not say it, and let you run your head, and then go report back to him everything you've said. So if you're looking to just do your thing and do what you got to do when you got to do it, and nothing extra, looking to put in the extra, work, you want to stay out of the hole, you want to stay out of trouble, you want to benefit from doing your time, then keep your mouth shut as far as your opinions on other people who might be turds and what they have got coming, aka beat down, stabbing, etc. Otherwise, somebody's going to call on you to do exactly what's coming out of your mouth. Um, you know, same thing in Donovan. When I went back to Donovan in 2003, there was always some guy claiming to be running the yard. And my thing was, look, I've been in prison long enough. I know how to live in here and I know what I got to do. And I don't want no motherfucker trying to tell me how to live. I run my own fucking program. I was a plumber. I got around the prison. I could pretty much go anywhere I wanted to go, do whatever I wanted to do. And Donovan had changed. It was kind of violent, a lot more fucking I don't give a fuck mentality. And I kind of think that dope changing on the streets changed things in the street, in the pen. Like we talk about all this fucked up dope they got now. Well, that dope was coming into prison and that dope was ruining people in prison. So imagine living around guys in prison that you see walking around the streets twacked out on speed. It was not fun. And you had guys that, you know, thought they were running shit. Um, it was kind of funny. You know, I told one dude, you know, he wasn't from California either. I said, hey, motherfucker, you don't run this. You don't run my homeboys. Same shit. But he was racking up debts, him and his little followers, and then they were calling mandatory yard for white dudes. So the white dudes would go out the yard and put on a big show, like we got a lot of people. But you know, when you owe money to another race, and if there's going to be problems, they don't give a fuck how many dudes are out there because they know only so many of them are going to be with the shit. Most of them are there because they have to be. And, you know, my thing was, you know, I'm not down for fighting for your drug debt. And I let them know, you know, you don't tell my homeboys what to do. They don't know money. If you guys, you and your fucking followers want to, you know, chalk up a debt, I don't give a fuck about you. It's not a race problem. It's a fucking business problem and it's your problem. He wasn't very happy about it. But, you know, later on, one of my friends jumped on the guy. Long story there. So here's the deal. You got a few choices, you know, when someone comes and tells you, hey, you got to do something. Say somebody tells you you got to stab somebody. You have a few choices. What are you going to do? Do you want to fit into the prison culture, prison lifestyle 100% all the way in? Cool. Throw your life away because some fucking dope fiend's telling you you got to put in some work on some guy that probably doesn't have it coming, doesn't even know he's got something coming. They're going to use you to go poke a hole in the guy. What's your choice? You can go check in, you know, you know, if that's what you want to do, which is pretty common now. Or, you know, you can, if you already have a piece of your own, you know, and you figure you're going to go to the hole anyway. So, you know, I'm going to be the guy that's not going to let other people tell me what the fuck to do. And you can stab that guy that's telling you got to do something. You can stick a hole in him. If he's some lame, acting like he's got the keys to the yard, but really he probably doesn't have the keys from anybody. He's just acting like that because no one else wants to do it. You can beat him down, stomp his face in. You could stab him, right? And, you know, which that's your decision, or you can do it. Then you got to sit back and ask yourself, um, am I doing 5 or 6 years? You know, then I'm going to get back to the streets to my wife and kids, or my mom and dad, and my brothers and sisters, and my family, and my friends. Do I want to fucking go do what this guy's telling me to do and jeopardize that? Do I want to sit in a fucking hole for a couple of years because I stabbed somebody? You know, then go ahead and do it. But if your family, your friends, your life out in society is worth more to you, then, you know, if you stomp some guy out, the penalty is not going to be another court case. You're going to lose your good time. You know, or you can get a piece and you can slide up on him and try to get away with sticking a couple holes in him. And either way, I mean, you know, nowadays they say, you know, if you refuse, you know, you're on the list. But, you know, generally the guys working, going to school, going to trade, doing a program and not in a mix, in general, those guys aren't called on to do that kind of shit. In general, the guys that are called on to do that kind of shit are guys hanging out in the yard, guys shooting dope, guys making wine, guys trying to be all that, trying to impress the guy that says he has the yard. Those are the guys that get called on. Regular guys, they're just doing their fucking time, which some people think are lames, which I think are not. I think they're the smart guys. You know, you got to be there if there's a major racial problem or a problem that concerns all the white dudes or all of your race. You have to be there for that. There's no, you know. But if you're just doing your fucking number, in general, especially if you're a first termer, you're not going to be called on to take care of business. You know, that involves, because usually it involves somebody didn't pay a debt, or nowadays it might involve some guy who's doing some illegal activities and he doesn't want to share, which means he's probably an okay dude, and he's not about, you know, hey, I'm going to give you my shit just because you feel like you got it coming. So, you know, do you want to step up and do some shit to a guy like that? I wouldn't. You know, I remember in Corcoran they were going to stab this dude. You know, another race was talking about stabbing him because he owed money, and me and my partner went telling him, you know, yeah, we'll help you. He goes, hey, we guys help me. We're tier tenders, and we go, yeah, we'll help you. I looked at each other. I go, I'll give you a knife. I go, yeah, you can go stab the guy you owe money to because obviously he's trying to get you stabbed. The guy locked up, but I gave him the opportunity, you know, to. So if you're not involved with the dope, that's usually where the problems come from. Prison politics usually don't involve guys that are doing their own time. And here's the deal. You look at guys like this guy, Thompson, right? He's done a lot of videos, says he's a big shot caller. Guy did, you know, 3 years on the main line, about 4 years in the shoe, then he PC'd up. So he did 45 years. He did the majority of that in PC. So when he was an active guy and whatever he says he was active in, you're going to let a guy like him tell you what to do? I mean, yeah, he's you know, big martial arts, karate, jujitsu, knife fighting kingpin, but I sure as fuck wouldn't allow him to tell me what the fuck to do. He's a fucking dummy, you know, to me. Um, I'm not gonna let some motherfucker that's thrown his life away have me throw my own life away on his word. That's how you got to look at it, you know. You look at the guy. I remember when I was in CMC West, and I was talking about going over to another yard that white dudes ain't supposed to go to, even though it's a mainline yard for a long-term offender program. And this guy goes, well, I'll call my homeboy Popeye. I'll see what he's got to say. I was like, I don't give a fuck what your homeboy says. I don't give a fuck what you say. But here's a guy acting like a fucking level 4 gangster on a level 2 yard. I don't give a fuck what he had to say. I did my fucking thing, and before I left, I let everyone know, hey, I'm leaving right now. If you got a fucking problem with us, let me know. So, and you know, when you confront guys like that, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do shit at the moment. Some of them might slide up on you later and stick a hole in your back when you're in the chow line, you know, or rush up in your cell when you're sleeping in the morning and catch you slipping. You know, an old school pin. I don't know if they can do that shit nowadays. But I mean, most guys are not down with face-to-face confrontations, especially guys that think they're running shit. So, you know, shot caller. What is a shot caller? And how are you going to let it affect your life? You know, hopefully you don't have to go to prison and find out that kind of shit. But if you do, ask yourself, if you like to get high, Is your life worth getting high? Is your freedom worth getting high over? You're already in prison, right? Because if you start getting loaded, you start getting involved, you're going to be called on. Then when you're called on, you're going to ask yourself, well, what am I going to do? Is this guy telling me I got to do something? Is my future worth impressing him? Is my future worth doing what he's telling me I got to do? If not, what's your way out? You're going to stand up and tell him, fuck off. You're going to jump on him, stomp his face in. You're going to stick a hole in him, or you're going to go do what he says. It's your decision. But just know this, it's a decision that could cost you the rest of your life. And it could also be a decision that could end your life. If you go out there and put in some work with a piece, you can get shot and killed by a gun tower. If you say no, you're already in the mix. It could cost you your life. It might seem like, hey, all right, it's all good, homie. A few months later, you're the guy that they're plotting on, The whole yard's plotting on you, right? So figure it out. My idea is it's probably better off staying out of prison so you don't have to make that decision. And you're going to make that decision out here in the world. If you have a job and you have a supervisor you don't like and he tells you to do something you don't want to do, or you feel it's out of your wheelhouse, it's out of your level of responsibility, what are you going to do? It's a different decision. He's a shot caller for real on your job site. It could cost you your livelihood, your paycheck, and your financial, your financial income could depend on whether or not you do what he says. There are guys out here that get in positions of power and in jobs, positions of authority, because they like having authority over men, or over men or women. Then there's other guys that get jobs in positions of authority because they know what they're doing. They know how to communicate. They know how to ask somebody to do something where they don't feel disrespected. Same thing in the pen. There are guys in there that claim to be shot callers, and they're pretty smart. Usually the guys that aren't dope fiends, that have a yard, those yards usually run pretty smooth. White dudes are very seldom in the mix where they have to, do shit. Because them guys are level-headed. They're not dope fiend scumbags looking to use everybody up for a free shot of dope. My advice, stay the fuck out of prison so you don't have to make that choice, right? Whatever it is you do, whatever decision you make, stick to it and do it hard. Thank you, folks.